Gertrude's in London. Gertrude, what do you think?
Well, I think they should be here. And I find it absolutely unbelievable that people keep referring to he should just have kept his mouth shut in his book. Already in 2013 did Reuters write that Harry had killed in Afghanistan. And everybody who had been on the Apache helicopter, also referred to as a 7-ton killer machine, had killed.
Well, they shouldn't be talking about it. He shouldn't be talking about it, Gertrude. I mean, that's basic soldiering. You don't come back from a war zone and say, I killed 26.
That is all over now. That is all done. But this is about Meghan. From Henry Basu, who was the head of counterterrorism, he said from Meghan put her foot on British soil, she and Harry instantly got horrific and constant deaths, and many more than any other royal.
I do believe that, though, as well.
That is not
it's
true.
Neil Basu.
They were welcome to this country initially as a wonderful, refreshing, new, dynamic couple for the royal family, and they threw it all back in our faces.
No, they were briefed against by the gang around William and Kate. Well, everyone knows that.
Well,
because they got scared that they were getting more popular.
Well,
and it went out of control.
Well, I can't necessarily agree with that. What I know is they didn't help themselves in the eyes of the British public by, pledging their loyalty to the royal family.
Why isn't there a massive threat to Prince or ex-Prince Andrew, given what he is said to have done? When nobody discusses his security, I guess in the end he must have some security, does he? I don't know.
Well, he's got security around the place where he lives.
Or maybe he's just basically cut behind the shutters and no one can even... He's not public anymore. I suppose that's the difference. Okay, I've answered my...
Well. Another day dawns over the United Kingdom, and with it, another tidal wave of outrage from the usual suspects. The sun barely rises before the presses are rolling, churning out the latest scandal, the freshest controversy, all centred around two familiar names: Harry and Meghan. Another so-called royal crisis, another round of finger-pointing and pearl-clutching. The tabloids scream, the headlines blare, and the cycle of outrage spins on. You know the ones. Keyboard warriors who lose their minds at the mere mention of Harry or Meghan. They swarm social media, unleashing a torrent of vitriol, convinced that their angry tweets and furious comments are somehow defending the crown. They rant endlessly about duty, about tradition, about the sanctity of the monarchy, all while conveniently ignoring the half-truths and outright lies their favourite tabloids churn out day after day. It's a performance, a ritual outrage, repeated with every new headline. These self-proclaimed royalists demand unwavering loyalty from Harry, yet show him none in return. They wave their flags and shout about betrayal, but their own actions betray a lack of empathy and understanding. Their arguments? Paper-thin, built on sensational headlines and manufactured outrage. They cling to every rumour, every whisper, as if it were gospel, never pausing to question the motives behind the stories they so eagerly consume. They've swallowed the media's narrative whole, parroting it with zeal, repeating talking points as if they were their own thoughts. In cafes, on buses, in living rooms across the country, the same tired lines echo, "He's betrayed the family. She's tearing them apart." The vitriol aimed at Harry and Meghan is unhinged. This isn't about patriotism. It's about feeding a media machine that needs a villain to keep the presses running and the clicks coming. The outrage is performative, a spectacle for public consumption. Ironically, these critics do more damage to the monarchy than Harry ever could. Their relentless attacks, their refusal to see nuance, only serve to highlight the institution's flaws and its inability to adapt. Their bullying and poisonous rhetoric make the institution look petty and cruel, exposing a darker side of royal fandom that's more interested in punishment than in unity or tradition. They defend a system that devours its own, all in the name of tradition. But what is tradition worth if it leaves a trail of broken people in its wake? So busy screaming about broken rules, they miss the broken people left behind. The human cost of their outrage is ignored, swept aside in favour of the next scandal. In the end, their loyalty isn't to the Queen, or to country, or even to the monarchy itself. It's to the drama, the spectacle, the endless churn of controversy that keeps them coming back for more. Pull up a chair. Settle in, make yourself comfortable, and prepare to see things from a perspective you may never have considered before. This isn't just another story. It's an invitation to look beyond the surface, to question what you've been told, and to open your mind to the truth that's been hiding in plain sight. Let's cut through the noise. The endless headlines, the breaking news banners, the constant chatter. None of it has brought you closer to the real story. Instead, it's only made the truth harder to find, buried beneath layers of speculation and sensationalism. For too long, you've been fed distortion and deceit, told what to think and who to blame. The media machine thrives on controversy, and it's turned real people into caricatures for public consumption. Every headline, every rumour, every so-called exclusive has been carefully designed to provoke outrage and keep you hooked. The narrative is crafted to keep you angry and divided. It's a cycle that benefits those in power, while the truth gets lost in the chaos. Today, we dismantle that narrative piece by piece and examine what's really going on behind the scenes. The campaign against Harry has crossed from criticism into a witch hunt, a national embarrassment. What started as scrutiny has become relentless persecution, with every move analysed, every word twisted, and every mistake magnified for maximum impact. This isn't about taking sides, but demanding a higher standard from our press and institutions. We deserve honesty, integrity, and accountability from those who shape public opinion. It's time to ask, who benefits from the chaos and who pays the price? Every word from Harry is filtered through malice. We're removing that filter. We'll listen to his story as it was meant to be heard, without the distortion of bias or the agenda of those who profit from his pain. The story you've been sold, a petulant prince and his scheming wife, but that's just a convenient fiction, repeated until it feels like fact. It's time to look past the headlines and see the people behind the public personas. Reality is more complex. A man escaping a toxic system that failed his mother and now threatens his own family. Harry's journey is one of survival, resilience, and the search for freedom in a world that demands conformity at any cost. It's about institutional fear, media manipulation, and betrayal. These forces have shaped the narrative for decades, but today, we're pulling back the curtain. We're asking the questions that matter and refusing to accept easy answers. The real story is waiting. Are you ready to see it for yourself? Let's begin this journey together and discover the truth that's been hidden for far too long. Let's talk about Harry's security. Let's talk about Harry's security. Let's talk about Harry's security. The tabloids painted him as entitled, ignoring the real issue of credible threats to his family. They twisted his plea for protection into a demand for taxpayer-funded luxury, omitting that he offered to pay himself. By making Harry look unreasonable, they turned public opinion against him. The debate shifted from real security threats to character attacks. The media's misdirection put Harry and his family in greater danger. It was never about money, it was about survival. Then came, and the uproar. The press ignored the memoir's grief and trauma, reframing it as an attack on the monarchy. Most egregiously, they twisted his Afghanistan story, stripping away context and painting him as boastful. This wasn't misinterpretation, it was deliberate, putting a target on his back. Security experts warned the headlines increased the threat against him. The media created a firestorm, then blamed Harry for the flames. The memoir's real message, a plea for change, was lost in the noise. The press weaponized his words for profit. The media's games have real consequences. Twisting Harry's words turns him into a figure of hate, endangering him and his family. Every headline calling him a traitor adds to the threat. By framing his security concerns as entitlement, they undermine his legitimate need for protection. Publishing details of his life gives would-be attackers a roadmap. The Afghanistan story was the most chilling example, sensationalism over safety. Harry became a commodity, his suffering just another plot point. The media doesn't just report danger, it creates it. They stir the frenzy, then pretend to be innocent observers. The cost? A man's safety, sacrificed for clicks. Now, the other player, the royal family's institution. The palace often handed the tabloids ammunition, leaking stories to control the narrative. When Harry broke the code of silence, he became the target. The palace's silence during racist attacks on Meghan was deafening, but they quickly contradicted any attempt by Harry and Meghan to set the record straight. Strategic leaks painted Harry as difficult, escalating the crisis. The family's refusal to defend them showed the institution valued its image over its people. The real betrayal was prioritizing the system over family. Enter Gertrude, the code name for a trove of leaked tabloid communications that would shake the foundations of the British media. These files, shrouded in secrecy for years, finally came to light, offering a rare glimpse behind the curtain of the press machine. Within these documents, a calculated and relentless campaign was exposed, one designed to systematically dismantle Prince Harry's credibility in the public eye. Every headline, every rumour, every so-called exclusive was part of a larger, orchestrated effort. Editors didn't just report the news, they shaped it. They plotted to frame Harry's concerns about security as nothing more than a greedy money grab, and twisted the narrative of his memoir, painting it as an act of arrogance rather than vulnerability. The Gertrude papers went further, revealing a web of collaboration between tabloid editors and palace insiders. These revelations confirmed what Harry had long claimed, that the attacks weren't random, but coordinated from the highest levels. The public outrage that followed wasn't spontaneous or genuine. It was carefully manufactured, stoked by sensational headlines and staged protests designed to sway opinion. The leak proved beyond doubt that there was a coordinated behind-the-scenes effort to control the narrative, to punish Harry for daring to step outside the royal mould and speak his truth. This was never just a family squabble played out in the tabloids. It was a high-stakes war for narrative control, with powerful players on both sides fighting to shape public perception. For the first time, the battle plans were visible to the world. The strategies, the alliances, the lengths to which both the press and the palace would go, all laid bare. The truth was finally out. The media mayhem wasn't accidental or organic. It was deliberate, calculated, and executed with precision to serve those in power. In the end, the real story was never just about Harry. It was about power, who holds it, who shapes it, and who dares to challenge it in the relentless battle for control over the royal narrative.